Whitney Belkowitz, President and CEO of Intelligent Concrete.
And I'm David Harris. I'm the Principal Engineer for Intelligent Concrete.
And today we are going into more detail about the 494. But first, this video is sponsored by the aspen. And the reason I chose the aspen, I know they kind of grow like weeds in Colorado, but if you drive up towards like Breckenridge and stuff in the fall, it is about the most beautiful view you have ever seen. Those changing colors, so.
Golden quivering aspen.
Yes, absolutely lovely.
Right.
So now, today we are going to be talking about the different types of admixtures that you evaluate for the 494. And the thing that I like about all the different pieces, they actually kind of have different requirements that they have to meet within the 494.
They do.
Like your water reducer has to be higher than your
Right.
reference, the strength.
Right. As we go through the names, we'll see that each
Yes.
has a different purpose, a different reason for being in the concrete.
Yes. So type A, your standard water reducer.
So just like it says, we put it in so we can take water out. We all know about water cement. As we have less water, theoretically it's stronger. So water reducer helps us accomplish that purpose.
Right. And they want to see a higher strength above the reference
Right.
to be able to meet the requirement for a water reducer.
Right.
Type B, a hydration stabilizer.
So it's a retarding agent. It holds back the time of the strength, the time of the set.
So we can be a little bit lower on that one,
Right.
on our strength requirements. Type C is accelerating.
Just the opposite. Now we have an admixture in there to make it become stronger, faster.
Type D is water reducing and retarding. I didn't know that it could,
Yeah, you do.
excuse me, combos. And it's got to be a little higher. Wow, that seems a little tricky.
Yeah, that's a little tricky.
Well, then I think both of you, this is an education more for you
It
guys
is.
than for anything. So I love being part of this in the background, but let's start from the beginning.
Okay,
So you say strength,
right.
but this is do good or do no harm, but it's not just strength. It's not just compression,
Right.
modular slope rupture. It also includes initial and final set.
Right.
It also includes shrinkage. So we're looking at the total change,
Right.
universally the holistic change in the composite. And when it comes down to it, a water reducer, normally the lignins or the naphthalenes will have an impact, especially at higher dosages when we get that water reducing effect.
Right.
It might have an impact on that early strength. But it gives us that water reduction as well as a change in time of set.
Sure.
So those are the things that we have
Right.
to take into account. When it comes to, the high range water reducer,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
as opposed to getting 15% water reduction, like we went with the normal or the mid, we're gonna get 35+% water reduction. So with the 494, looking at both of these admixtures, it is a standard mix that requires, is it a constant slump between the reference and the experimental, or do they require a constant water cementitious ratio?
I thought it was a constant slump in general across the board for 494.
Was it
Right.
3 inches plus or minus a half an inch or a quarter of an inch or something like that?
I thought it was close to 4, whatever it was.
You
So.
hold the slump constant as you vary your parameters.
So what are you changing?
You're changing the amount of the water that goes in to be able to maintain your fresh properties.
So with a high range water reducer, whether it has a hydration stabilizer, or I think they call it in the shtick a retarder,
Right.
or without, or even with an accelerator, we should see an increase in strength.
Right.
Now, if it was a mid-range with a retarding, we might not see that increase in strength because we're not going to as low of a water cementitious ratio.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Those are the number of samples that you're looking at.
No, I'm trying to find the slump, what the slump is supposed to be.
It was somewhere around 3
Yeah,
inches.
sure.
3.5 inches, 3 inches
Yeah.
plus or minus a half an inch.
Okay.
Something to that effect. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to
No, you're
interrupt.
fine. I feel like you should be doing this one. This is your hydration stabilization, type B.
Type B says retarding, so it has a tendency to,
Slow down the setting up.
right.
Yeah, and then you're going to have decreases in your strengths just because you're slowing down that hydration. So especially your early strengths,
You're gonna have
you've got to expect a decrease over your reference mix without it.
in the early strengths.
Right.
Right.
Actually, it's got 90% across the board. So, I mean, you may be able to regain some of that and possibly even might even be a little bit higher than the reference if you're not adding a lot, just because it's allowing for the cement to properly hydrate and
Right.
all that good stuff. So
So while the first few admixtures that you went over, what type are we on? right
that's
now?
type B.
Okay, so with these,
Mm-hmm.
where do you think we would use these throughout the industry?
The hydration stabilizer?
Or any of them? I mean, I think, remember who you're
Right.
talking to is a ready mix.
Right. Well, it
Either
depends on
batch
what
or-
you're doing. I mean, your water reducer, if you need to have a mix set up a little sooner, or you just honestly want to be able to increase your strength, pulling out water is one of the easiest ways to do it. So adding a little bit of high range water reducer makes that water more efficient. You don't have to put as much in there, so you're going to be able to see a strength increase.
And it might help you with bleeding or
Sure.
other things like that.
Also, high congestion of steel, if you want to create a self-consolidating concrete.
Sure, you get some more workability.
Okay, how about a hydration stabilizer?
That is if you are driving your concrete out to Elbert, Colorado.
Yeah.
You need some extra time in the truck to get to your location. So,
Yeah, it has to do with transport time.
or hey, maybe the Hoover Dam. You're doing mass concrete and you don't want your hydration to kick off too quickly. You want to control that heat, so you slow down
Yeah.
the,
Right.
the hydration, the reactions that are happening.
Good
Right.
job, dam engineer.
Thank you.
So we're moving on.
Yeah, accelerating.
Accelerating is the opposite of
Right.
retarding. It just speeds things up.
High early, I think, is probably the most
Right.
appropriate and
So
straightforward
why
use
would
for
we
that.
need that? Well, building a building, we want to strip forms, move on with construction, pavements.
Road patch?
Road patch, pavements, we want to get traffic
Right.
on. We might have a early traffic criteria in the spec. Might carry a huge liquidated damages. It could be
Oh, sure.
$10,000 an hour or more.
That's great.
So yeah, so we want to definitely control how quickly we can get things done in some cases.
Right.
Or what about cold weather concrete?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Especially if Colorado is iconic for having major temperature swings. And if you're going to be 70 in the morning and it's going to snow that evening, and that has happened many times,
Right.
you get that concrete to set up quick. And hopefully it's in a little bit better state, a little more set up, not quite as fresh once you have those cold temperatures hit. So, yeah, that's a great.
Right.
Are there tests specifically lined out in the 494 for that would be germane to an accelerating admixtures, or are the requirements tailored for that accelerating admixture compared to the other ones?
It looks like pretty much across the board until you get in your special performance. The tests are the same.
Right.
You mean the results, the comparison to the reference?
Now, the comparison to the reference is not. So
That's
for
what I'm
the
referring to.
accelerating, the early strength, the 3-day strength needs to be 125% of the reference. So it has to be quite a bit higher.
25% of the reference.
Right.
125%, yeah.
That's
And then it comes down.
17-pound total cementitious mix with a 0.47 water cementitious ratio.
Right.
That is a pretty powerful accelerator.
Right.
Right.
Whew. Sorry, go on.
No, you're fine, you're fine. Type D, this one just is a bit of an anomaly to me. Water reducing and retarding.
Well, I think as the industry evolved, they, instead of having a bottle of this and a bottle of that, they were able to develop admixtures that would combine effects.
Sure.
So type D is just that. It's a water reducer and it's a retarder. So you can take water out and you can slow
Right.
it down
Right, I guess
with
it's
stuff out of the same bottle.
Sure, okay.
Now, this is not a chemical composition, so there could be a whole bunch of chemicals in there to get you these effects.
Sure.
But there are some who argue in the industry that right there was the downfall of the concrete industry.
Yeah, I don't love it.
Why don't you love it?
I like being
This
able to.
combination.
I don't like the combinations. I like being able to have control of exactly how much of everything is going in there. Like if you do the, case in point, you do those shampoo conditioner combos, there's never enough conditioner in those things. But you just get what you get in the bottle. That's why I use a little shampoo and a lot of conditioner to make my hair soft. And I feel like for these sorts of things, you need that. You need to be able to dial in those amounts. I personally don't want to just one bottle and you get what you get and you don't get upset. I want to put X amount of this admixture in and X amount of that admixture, and I am more than happy to weigh up the separate ingredients.
Yeah, it definitely gives you control for each parameter. So, I think it was put in there as a benefit to producers that wanted to
Sure.
sell one bottle, and there's a lot of users that just want one bottle. It's
Sure.
easier to have one tank, and it's easier to mix it in with the mix and whatnot. So
Okay. All right, we need to keep cruising along. Then we have water reducing and accelerating, and water reducing high range, and water reducing high range and retarding. So that's one of those huge combos. You just have a whole bunch of things.
yeah,
in
so
there and-
with the exception of high range, the reducing and accelerating, that's the same thing.
Right.
It's A plus B in the same bottle.
Right.
The water reducing in high range and retarding, that's A plus B plus C
Right.
in one bottle. So that's kind of like we talked about. Water reducing high range, that's a single product. So that's
Right.
one thing that really reduces the water.
Right, so you're really
High
able to
range
cut
meaning that you put a little bit in, it takes a lot of water
Right.
out. So there's mid-range and high range, so here we have a criteria just for high range.
Sure. And my personal favorite is the Type S. And that is the one that we mentioned earlier, where you're not necessarily having to increase strength. You need to be close to the reference, but there can be added benefits that are not kind of in your standard parameters. So we're going to be getting into more detail on some of these other things a little later.
What is the difference in the tests that you have to perform for the special performance?
So you still have to run all of your standard tests, your compression, your flex, time to set, all that, but you are required to run a couple of, well, they're still standard tests, but tests outside of your general realm. So like abrasion or...
Yeah, whatever the specific performance is that you're
Right.
trying to do,
Right.
that's what you have to test for.
Correct.
So if you've got an admixture that you say is an ASR reducer,
You run an ASR.
then special performance is run the ASR.
Correct.
So, right. So
Yeah.
that's basically it allows you to mix in other criteria other than just water and
Right.
speed of set.
It's to prove the efficacy of whatever you're saying it actually improves. So.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you learned something. Go ahead and like, subscribe, ding that bell for notifications. Go Concrete!
Let's beat that asphalt.